Welcome to Landria Anka on YouTube, here to help you break through the fears and live an awesome, an abundant, beautiful life. It is all possible. Now, do I have fears? Yes. It's part of the collective consciousness that we all share, that we are. It's part of our own blueprint. That's an energy that we bring forward. And it's part of really being human. At this stage in the human experience, fear is still a factor. And part of being human is to experience it. Now, you probably saw a video that I did and that discusses the breakthrough I've had with fear, and even more so recently, where I realized we're viewing it as something that is a threat, that has power, and it's a negative. It is not. It's only an experience. Like when I do videos and I tell you that we are all one, that means the darkness is part of the one. It's experiencing darkness, that's all. We as humans battle that. We think that we're separate entities that are fighting. There's some battle going on. There's no battle going on. We create the battle. It's self-created. That has no power over you. That dark side is not a separate entity that has power over you. It's just some other piece of energy, part of the facets of what we are, experiencing that place. So how does it have any power over you that you believe? Because when you fear it, you go down to that frequency. So you're connecting with it, and if it is really entrenched in the darkness, and you're just sort of going into that vibrational frequency, it's going to appear to have major power over you because it's happy in that darkness. It's experiencing it. It loves the dark. It loves to attack other things that come into its room, its dark room. So that's why when you fear things, that's when things can show up that are very fearful. And that translates into every part of our lives. When we fear lack, when we fear poverty, when we fear death, when we fear, being alone, we're connecting to that lower frequency. And that lower frequency connects to us and says, welcome, friend. Yeah, we're all broke here. We're all unhappy. We're all in abusive relationships. Glad you could join us. Misery loves company. Yeah. Of course it does. That's all that's going on. Frequencies are matching, that is all. Now when you name it and you fight it, that's when you miss the opportunity to say, whoa, I'm having a human experience that I'm choosing because nobody makes me feel bad. She made me feel bad. He made me cry. Nobody makes you do that. You choose to, because that's where you are in your frequency. You're connecting to that lower frequency that allows you to be a victim or sad or fearful. So then you react on that level. Now what if, like I did in the other video, and I've got many like this, what if the fear was something that you accepted as an experience, but you didn't react to it? Oh my gosh, please tell me. Yeah, I had to make sure my microphone was on. So you don't react to it. You say, ooh, here's part of the collective consciousness. Here's part of the programming I've had. Here's part of what I have basically told my ego to do and how to react all these years. And so it's automatically going into that place, that lower frequency. I'm not going to react to it anymore. I'm going to choose something else over here. And that is to observe it and say, oh, okay, it's just an experience. I don't like how it feels. I don't want to connect to that anymore. So I'm going to choose something else. Now, let's talk about enlightenment. How do you go to that enlightened state? So, you know me, I'm always going to present some different ideas that you can consider. Again, what you choose to believe is your reality. Now, what if you were an enlightened being already You're already an enlightened being right now. We're always looking at coming from this frequency to go up to this one. And we're practicing, we're meditating, and we're trying to make corrections to raise our frequency. What if you're already that frequency, just experiencing things right now? You're already that frequency. So let's reverse engineer this. I hope this makes sense to you. Instead of thinking, I'm down here, that's up there, it's separate from me, it's something I have to get to. No, you are it. Now remember when we said everything's one thing? That means you are it. You're the high frequency and the low. You're just picking where you go. I did an exercise where you get off in an elevator. What I'm really doing is taking you to different frequencies and you're getting to choose. And if you feel like the level that you're on is not a good one, I'm allowing you in that exercise to choose to get back on that elevator and go up. And then obviously in your mind, you're going up, so you're thinking there's got to be something better up here. And then you actually start to fabricate that in your mind, envision it, the higher and better place. And then you get off on that elevator, into that space, and you experience that. And you can keep going on that elevator as high as you want. It's the same thing. So this reality you're in isn't what it is right now for you in a low frequency. It's actually on the highest frequency. It's in the room. It's part of everything. You're just choosing. You're already the highest frequency because you're of the one. You are just choosing to experience all these things in that other frequency, even though you are of the highest frequency and that exists in you right now. It's not something you need to get up to. It's something you'll reconnect with, obviously, through your own beliefs that you're getting there when you actually are already there. You're just experiencing things right now as a high frequency of what it's like to not be that. Does this make sense? Because I think a lot of you think that you're not that and that you have to get to that and that frequency's up there, it's higher and you're going to reconnect to it. Yes, of course you are going to reconnect to it. Not because you aren't already connected to it, you are connected to it. You're going to experience it when you decide to stop bringing these other experiences of pain, suffering, loss, all these, when you're done experiencing all these things, not in a negative way, just experiencing it as a human being, then you can go, let it drop off and say, wow, I am in the highest frequency. So how does that happen? First of all, most of you are not experiencing the enlightenment right now because for some reason you feel like you need to experience the pain. For some reason you're not able to let go. There's an addiction to the old habits of going back to the abuse because you're familiar with it. You're not ready to let it go. So you're a high frequency saying, I still need to experience this right now. I don't know why, but I'm not ready to let it go. There's some things I want to learn here and experience. So you're staying there. You can let it go if you decide you've really learned from that and you're ready to let it go. Now, a lot of you aren't progressing back into connecting to what you are because you really have not learned those lessons. You really have not experienced the learning of being a human to break through the things that aren't you at all. And you're connecting with, you're believing that's you. It's not. So you still have this, and this is where humanity became so entrenched in the material world, it went to a different place. It was definitely disconnecting from what it was. And why we all feel so bad all the time? Because we know that's not what we are. It feels like you're not home, right? You know, have you ever been homesick? Oh my gosh. You know, I remember being homesick. You know, you're at a PJ party and you're like really wishing you were in your own bed. You know that feeling. And so that's what we're feeling at all times because that is so great. We are it. So you can't miss it unless you are it, unless you've experienced it, unless deep down you know that's what you are. I can't miss home. unless I know what home was, unless I really love home and I am the person at home that's out here not really wanting to be at the PJ party. But I go anyways because it's good for me to get out and experience the PJ party with other people. And sometimes it's challenging, you know. Girls can be catty, whatever. My friends were, and I had pretty cool friends, you know, even growing up. But you've got to go out there and experience that, knowing that, you know, you can't sit in your bedroom the whole time and just be in la la land. You've got to get out, and that's all we're doing. So we're homesick, we're experiencing, we're going to the PJ party and doing a few things. And at some point we go, you know what, I've seen enough, I've learned enough, I've experienced all this. I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go home. And it's okay if I, you know, stay at home and putter around in my backyard and enjoy that, being there. And you're going to really appreciate it because you went out and did all these things. That's all you're doing right now. That's it. It's not bad. It's you progressing and experience yourself. It doesn't take away from what you already are, the highest level. So here's an exercise for you. Now that I hope this made sense. Because a lot of you are still thinking, no, I'm down here and that's up there. No, you are this. You're up there. You're just going and enjoying things, and it doesn't feel like you're enjoying it sometimes, right? Come on, there's highs and lows. Isn't that the beauty of it? Isn't it cool? How can you really feel great about accomplishing goals unless you've really been on that warrior journey? Not in a fighting kind of way, but I'm breaking through all this stuff that I don't really want. It's not real. You finally recognize it's not real. You're going, oh my God. Wow, this is really awesome. All right. So here's what I've done in the past, and I don't even actually have to do this anymore. But I would, if I had any feelings that I didn't feel like I was, you know, breaking through them, like if there was fear coming in or worry, you know, that's built in with us. We're always worried about what is going to happen or what might happen or what won't happen. So if you go into that space and you're just not shaking it off and you want to, you ask yourself, I am an enlightened being. I'm already enlightened. What does my enlightened self feel like? How would my enlightened self react right now? So I would always say, how does the enlightened Leandria feel? And I've been in that space, so I know what it feels like when I'm in the super high space. And you'll come down from that because you have to function in the real world. Otherwise, you just go off in a cave because it's just really too much to be out in this self-imposed pain. So I would say, okay, how would the enlightened Leandria feel right now? Oh, I know exactly how she would. She would be so joyful for the experience. She knows that this is an evolving experience, one that will, you know, take her wherever she wants to go. How would she look at this experience? She would say, wow, okay, what can I gain from this to contribute to my learning? You know, there's always a gain from an experience that seems like a loss or a detriment of some kind or pain. There's always a gain. And when you find that, you say, okay, my enlightened self right now would relax because my enlightened self is so connected to the one. It knows that there is nothing to ever be afraid of, that it will, in a very short period of time, because we don't live that long here, be reconnected to the one, talking to the one, you know, facets of all the one, saying, okay, now what? All right, let's go back and try this or whatever else it decides to do. You're going to be back there again, feeling no burdens of any kind, no fears. There will be no bills to pay. There will be no illness. There'll be none of these things that we worry about here. All of that goes away, and you will be back in that space, a very short period of time. So that person, ask yourself, well, that person, that enlightened being that I am, would know that everything's temporary, that nothing threatens my joy, that nothing is really ultimately bad, that even pain doesn't require suffering, and that I can use this to take myself to total manifesting, because when I release this and accept it and know that these are all positive lessons for me, and that breakthrough, me accepting and releasing is now opens up the gateway to what I already am. And then all of a sudden I experience my own high frequency, which is always there. And then I decide I'm going to see the world differently. I'm going to manifest things. Now I'm going to look at the world around me and say, wait a minute, okay, what I'm creating in my head of what is that's creating suffering, now I'm going to look at my environment and say, that's really not what's going on at all. The enlightened me sees opportunity and the ability to be something really awesome, a trailblazer, a breakthrough moment, a triumph, releasing anything that doesn't feel good, that you're done with it. But like I said, if you don't feel you're done with it, then if you keep going back to the same stuff, the same old pain, suffering I should say, because there'll always be some kind of pain. Why? Why are you doing it? What is it you need to learn that you have not broken through? And when you release it and say, you know what? I'm done blaming other people. I'm done not forgiving. I'm done holding anger. All of that keeps you in that space that clouds all of the high frequency that you're already are. It keeps you in that space so you can't see it. So you need to experience this, and then when you release it, you go, whoa, the sun is shining in this room, and I didn't know that I could just pull those curtains open. I was so busy cowering in the dark, thinking it was a dark room. It's dark because I just wasn't pulling the curtains open. You pull the curtains open, and the dust flies all over, and you say, this was here the whole time. This always was here. So are you ready to connect to that? If you are ready and you are tired, you're exhausted from beating yourself up, believing the stuff your parents told you, please. And he said, because you think you're right. So I want you to ask yourself, if you're conflicting with other people, it's because you think you're right. You're right on the playing field with them. That means that you think that your ego, is better, right, has the answers, has the truth. It doesn't. So take a look at that and say, if I'm in conflict with somebody else, that's my ego right now, believing that it is something. So I'm no better than that person who's just as adamant about their opinion. That is a learning lesson. And when you release that, you're at peace. It doesn't matter what they say anymore. You're okay with it. And not in I'm enlightened and spiritual and they're not. It's no, there's another human being breaking through, ready to pull the curtains open. I'm going to allow them that journey. I'm going to release it and allow them that journey. Be okay with that. If you're okay with that, then you're connecting to all that you are and manifesting. Boom, I'm telling you, I probably blew out the speaker. You will be blown away by what starts to show up. And those of you who, you look at your life over here and the struggle and the suffering, and then you go, okay, I'm manifesting over here as if they're separate things. And then I got some little things. I'm like, why? Because you think that you're not on that level to get the big stuff, because you don't know, you already are it. When you let that other stuff go and say, why is it I think I can't get the big stuff? I'm still keeping myself in that belief that I'm on a lower frequency. You're believing it, so you're creating it, and you're hanging on to that reality. If you believe that evil has power over you, then that's exactly what you'll get to experience. It doesn't. But when you give up your power, and it is entrenched in love in that low frequency, it's going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. Some of you like, oh, this is coming. Yeah, sometimes things will show up. I think I shared my dream with you. I was in murky waters. You want pick the one thing that I really don't, really find attractive, let's put it this way. Snakes. I really love snakes. I mean, if they're in my yard, I make sure that they get someplace safe because they're God's creature. They're all beautiful. Everything's beautiful, right? It has its place. But I don't want to be picking them up or anything. You will not see me snuggling with a snake. So in the dream, there were all these snakes, and I had no fear. Now, I saw them, and I didn't want to just go and, kiss one and hug it. But my friend was standing right next to them, so I slowly pulled my friend, who didn't see what was behind her, away. And we were in murky water, green water, and we went diving underneath, and there was a huge snake. Let's say maybe a 20-foot huge snake going like this, and it was right in front of me, and it was sort of hanging around, and I took my hands, I was not afraid, and I pushed it. I gave it a gentle nudge, and I sent it on its way. And it went off. And I woke up and said, whoa, that is the most powerful dream. I was facing my fears, and I realized I was no longer afraid. That I could look at it and not say, oh, wow, I love snakes, but at the same time didn't feel the fear. And that I was pushing it away and also protecting my friend from it, who I knew was afraid. And I was okay with going into murky water, not seeing 5 feet in front of my hand. Very telling dream was demonstrating to me that this is all there. That's all here. If you choose it. Now, if you don't connect to it anymore, things will still appear. You're just not reacting to it. It does not have that same meaning. A ghost could walk in the room and you would not be afraid. You'd probably be more mystified. I'm looking around like I'm waiting for one to show up, right? It's Halloween. By the way, it's Halloween. 2017, 2 days before Halloween. Which is why I have this guy. He jumps out. The kids love it. We love to get scared, don't we? Why is that? We love to go to that place, that unknown that we truly didn't come from. We love to experience it. We will love to be afraid. So, you're already enlightened. When you go to the space and you really don't want to feel it, ask yourself why you've been staying in there. What is it you need to learn? Release the blame, the victim, all the garbage. Ask yourself if your ego is controlling everything. Somebody's wrong. You can't forgive. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And then say to yourself, listen, I'm enlightened. I know it. My enlightened self has no fear, has total acceptance, total love that it sends to those people who have supposedly wronged them. Even that is multiple truths to that, right? And is able to recognize that everybody, whatever they think and feel, is their valid reality, and be okay with all of that. And say, well, that's what they're experiencing. Oh, and I was participating in that, but I don't want to anymore. Bless you. Go ahead with that role you're playing and that experience. I'm gonna go back to me, the enlightened vibration frequency. I'm gonna experience that now. And that is putting its head on the pillow at night going, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. So be the enlightened person. Know what do they feel, what do they experience, because that is you. And you focus on that because whatever you're focusing on is what you experience. And you continue to focus on how you, the enlightened being, would feel and think and act, probably stop thinking at some point, mostly feeling and acting. You start to become that. And that frequency, you're connecting to what you already are. You're starting to feel it. And all of a sudden, all the beautiful things show up. The other stuff's not connecting with you anymore. You don't want to experience it. You're not participating in it. You guys are still participating in some of this stuff. I hear you. You tell me your stories, and I'm like, well, you're still interacting with it. Even if it's just your thoughts and feelings. You are whole. Perfect. See? That mantra from the Master Key System says you are whole and perfect. You don't have to get there. You already are. When you're done with this stuff, that's what you are. And you want to recognize it now, you can do it. You are strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Thank you for the gifts and miracles you're sending my friend right now. And I hope you sent your light and love out to the universe to heal, to find peace and joy and prosperity. The abundance that is here, nobody ever has to suffer. You ready? Let's go there together. Namaste.